Get off it. Get off it. Okay. Okay, the shark is
Yeah. What did you do with it?
strawberries. We already have some ripe ones. And we already have
So originally this was a space that was grass, and it wasn't really used as a learning area so much. It was mostly taken care of by the district. They used pesticides to control weeds, and it was kind of just becoming a space that really wasn't used in a way to enhance learning for children. So we were able to get a grant through the city of Portland because we have a very sensitive watershed. It's a very highly flooded area. So with funding from the city, we were able to remove all the invasive plants, remove the sod, and we're able to instead replace it with all native plants and create a rain garden. We had to actually dig the rain garden out, which was mostly done by kids. They dug out all of the ground and then had to move it to a different area so that we were able to create the rain garden. And they came up with a lot of rocks that we realized were in the area. So any of the rocks that you see around the garden all came from underground. And so it was a very long process. People kept saying, when is the garden done? When is the courtyard going to be done? But really, gardens are never done. They're always moving, they're always progressing. But I would say, as far as finishing it in a way that made it usable like it is today, it probably took us about a year to get to that point.
So this year in our classroom, we do have students participating during recess time in the garden. Not as many as in years past, but the students who do participate absolutely love it and are definitely disappointed when they don't get to come out for their garden fix every week. Students, when they're outside, are more engaged in different ways. So oftentimes students who have trouble focusing inside the classroom really hone in on certain projects we're doing outside and oftentimes excel in these areas. That's one of my favorite things about being a teacher, is seeing students shine in areas where maybe inside the classroom walls they struggle.
So one thing I really like to do in the outdoor learning space is read with my students. It just seems like we spend so much time indoors that just getting them outdoors just to lay down in the grass and while I do a read aloud, I find is really relaxing and kind of gets them a nice break with, while still teaching them. I would think most subjects could be taught out here. Obviously, science seems like this seems like a good space to teach science with. We have a plant unit where we've come out before and picked flowers, and we've dissected them or looked at different types of leaves, and you could study plant adaptations and even just talking about what types of plants we do plant in the garden, to a lot of native plants so that there's low maintenance, and kind of talking about the environmental impact of native plants versus non-native plants.
Yeah, when we have a lot of our kids that are escalated, they're kind of in that downstairs part of their brain, the fight or flight part, and you really can't talk to them. Mm-hmm. This is a great place for them to just come and hang out and dig and play, and eventually you see them calm down a little bit. And through play, you can kind of start to have them de-escalate and then start to talk and actually talk about the conversation while they're playing, which seems a lot easier for them. Some students prefer to sit and draw. Some students prefer to go and sit quietly somewhere else. But this is a great place for some of those kiddos to play and talk at the same time.
Great.
So without this garden, I don't know how we could help 650 kids here, because we have so many different kids with so many different needs. And this garden is just an extension of really the classroom. So I'm really grateful for it.
here, and we can't pick much of the leaves too because it's flowering and having seeds. So this is regular green garden sage, and this is chives. Right now it's having flowers, so you don't want to pick the flowers. This big plant is rhubarb. It's really tangy, and if you eat too much, it's like acid in your mouth. I didn't know a lot about gardening before I started this, and now I know a lot about gardening. I love it, and I have a whole bunch of plants I brought home from Sun and Recess Gardening, and they are growing really successfully.
In a library, when people go in library and they see the garden, and there's delicious stuff that are healthy for you. And that's it. You're welcome.
Making paints. It can only make red though.
Yep.
Just smash them up with rocks and then put it in a cap or something and put water, and then it'll get all mixed up and make the water turn red.
Here's some orange mint. And here's some peppermint.
How do you know which one's orange mint?
Can you? Because it's darker than this one.
Because I get to play in the garden.
And there's lots to play!
And you're gonna play adventure.
The thing that helps us maintain our garden the most is through volunteer work parties. We have at least one a year, usually the one on Martin Luther King Day, which is a National Day of Service, is the party that gets the most work done. We get lots of volunteers from all over Portland. A lot of times our companies will bring them in, and we'll get so much mulching done, so much weeding done. It really is nice to have help from the community. If we didn't have help from the community, basically this would not exist as it does. It would just be completely overgrown and completely out of control. So our work parties often can be anyone from a kid in the neighborhood to someone's grandparents to teachers and their spouses, or we even had one of the Portland Timbers come in the other day and help work.
We're just cleaning up this garden at this elementary school. It's just great to be out here with the community and helping out. The community gives so much to us. It's important for us to give back to them.
So it's really a space that's seen a lot of diversity and a lot of different community members come in and chip in.